Gary.
Michael. We send this out to all the truckers currently residing on Parliament Hill in Ottawa. You're doing a great job. We stand behind you 100%. We believe in what you're doing, and we believe that the walls are about to fall
100%.
and that the little princess is about to lose his crown. Also, to that poor old man that we saw manhandled by the police, that was disgusting. It was uncalled for. The police know better. They should know better than to treat people like that, especially elderly people like that gentleman was. So we put this one out to you. So cheers. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. We're there behind you. We will see you there this Saturday. We will be coming down and doing some interviews and talking to people. Maybe we'll get lucky.
Maybe we'll get lucky.
Maybe we'll get
arrested.
Maybe we'll get lucky and talk to the PR guy for the police.
Oh, that would be nice.
That'd be nice to see if they get their opinion, see what they have to say.
But my guess is that a lot of the friendlier police, the ones that we saw walking around the week before, they're not there anymore. They were replaced by heavier set police, and that was a stark change. It was a noticeable change.
It was disgusting is what it was. It was completely uncalled for. These guys are down there peacefully protesting. So what, they're honking the horns. You got no basis here for doing this to these people. They're there for a reason. They're there to end the mandates. End the mandates.
And it's being done peacefully. I can't ever recall during any of the Black Lives Matter Antifa protests that were sweeping the United States, I don't ever recall there being bouncy houses.
No, I don't recall that either.
And these children are there having fun.
Atmosphere.
They are not being intimidated. They're actually enjoying their freedom for a change. They're able to play with other kids, for crying out loud.
Yeah, without their masks. Remarkable how that happens.
On that note, hey, quick note.
Kudos also to the ones blocking currently the Ambassador Bridge and the one in Manitoba.
Ignore that trucker convoy that's on the way, but I don't doubt you can be able to do it.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think the little princess is on his way out. He's going to have two choices, relent or resign.
Well, yeah, let's get into that topic. So he backed himself into a corner by painting, smearing
protesters,
peaceful
protesters.
Regular Canadians of all races and ages, absolutely smearing them as racist, misogynist.
Mais il y a aussi des gens qui sont farouchement opposés à la vaccination.
Qui sont extrémistes.
Qui croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing.
No capes.
Isn't that my decision?
No capes.
When we were there the first weekend for the Freedom Rally, did you notice the sea of swastikas and Confederate flags?
Yeah, the only sea of flags that I made my way through was a sea of Canadian flags.
You're on your own.
Yeah. And the occasional Trudeau flag.
Yes, there were occasions.
There was an occasion to have those. I'd like to get myself one of those. So Justin, yeah, you're not your dad. Get that straight. You're not your dad. Not that we were very fussy on him either, but he did a 10 times better job than you'll ever do. Then we can jump on to the opposition.
So we were kind of going over topics that we're going to go over, and yet going over the news last night, and we come across the original footage of Bergen?
Yeah. Candice Bergen. Giving it to the Prime Minister, just letting him have it.
Canadians deserve a Prime Minister who's willing to follow science and lift the restrictions. Will the Prime Minister follow the science? Follow the evidence and the restrictions and the mandates. So will the Prime Minister commit to Canadians he'll follow the science? Can the Prime Minister tell Canadians when he will end the divisive, outdated and unscientific mandate and restrictions. Well, the science and the evidence is just simply not on the Prime Minister's side. Many of the reasons previously used to keep Canadians under restrictions are vanishing before our eyes. Other countries are opening up. Provinces are opening up. As he just said, 90% of Canadians have the vaccine. The Prime Minister needs to put his ego aside. He needs to do what's right for the country. He needs to end the mandates. He needs to end the restrictions. He needs to listen to his own caucus. Will he do that?
She blinded me with science.
Hit him with his own science. Because it's not science, it's politics.
That's right. Anytime Trudeau says science, insert politics.
His only answer that he came back was his regurgitation of his same talking points that he's always said.
Canadians have stepped up.
On your feet.
We have been hearing people hesitant about getting vaccinated for well over a year now, and we have been reaching out to them. We're going to continue to have Canadians' backs.
She'll be a big hit.
Hold him down.
It's like, I followed the science, I'm protecting Canadians, they have stepped up, the same rhetoric, and then she would just, relentless, ask the same question again. And in his final response to her is like, well, it's good to see that the Conservatives are finally acknowledging to the words science! And to, like, well, Parliament, you should have heard the boos from the other ministers when he actually said that. So yeah, this is, it's horrendous.
Yeah. And then what did he do? Then he left the House of Commons.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to ask the honourable member for Foothills to stop while his members on his side are heckling him. So I'll let him continue now.
So here we are thinking she's making points. This is the way to do it. Oh my goodness, we finally have Her Majesty's opposition is present in the House. Thank you. And before we even give her an applause,
what did she do?
We have to rescind this. We can't even actually. Why are we even talking about this?
To all of you who are taking part in the protests, I believe the time has come for you to take down the barricades, stop the disruptive action, and come together.
She's basically told the truckers to go home, and
now they'll take care of it.
It's Trudeau's problem. It's a politician. Politician's problem, and we should just leave it up to Justin Trudeau and her to solve this problem. I guess
they'll take care of it. Go home. They'll deal with it now. Yeah, I can see what happens. Everybody goes home and nothing gets done. Nothing gets done.
We'll be there Saturday. Next one is for Jim Watson.
Who's Jim Watson?
The mayor of Ottawa.
Oh, that
this unruly cast of characters that have taken over parts of our downtown. People in their procession were carrying swastika signs and Confederate flags.
The double.
They've been holding the line with us for 14 days. Yeah, you know it. It is for day 14 of 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We are ending these mandates now, and we are winning!
Oh, look, the circling truckers have tried to disrupt operations at the Ottawa airport. Oh my God. The horror. Truckers are pissed. They've had enough. Everybody's pissed. We've had enough.
See, this is what happens.
Okay.
This is what happens when you escalate a peaceful protest. Okay. You start arresting peaceful protesters. Now the truckers are going to start responding in a more aggressive way.
Okay, now let's go back to the point as to why these truckers are doing this. Okay, and the mandates,
which is still peaceful.
Hold on,
which is still peaceful.
Let's get into the stupidity of the whole situation. Okay, I have elderly parents. Okay.
Oh, Mike, yeah, this is
my father has had 5 strokes. He thought he was working on number 6 a couple of weeks ago. So off to the hospital they go. They won't allow my mother, who's been double vaxxed and boosted, to accompany him into the hospital. He's also been double vaxxed and boosted. Okay? These people have been together 64 years. They are inseparable. Where one goes, the other goes. Okay, that's not even the worst part of it yet. Okay? So, they did some blood work on my father. Oh, there's a problem with your blood work. We're going to have to do a colonoscopy and an endoscopy on you. So, take these laxatives, go home, take the barium enema, and start shitting water for 24 hours.
Ouch!
Okay, so he did all that. And then they called him
Holy jeez.
and canceled him last minute. And even when he was scheduled to go in for the colonoscopy and the endoscopy, they would not allow my mother in with him. That's how completely asinine this has gotten. My mother, who never swears in her life, said to me, Michael, this is fucking stupid. They've had enough. You've had enough. We've had enough.
Brian Peckford, if you haven't heard, is a former premier from Newfoundland, and he's the sole surviving member of Parliament with his signature on the Constitution.
Now I remember.
That's right. That was signed in 1982, and he has filed a lawsuit against the Trudeau government. Hey!
What concerns are driving you to re-enter the political discussion at the moment?
Well, primarily it is the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, especially those freedoms and rights that are in sections 2, 6, 7, and 15 of the Charter, which I helped craft. And they're freedoms of association, freedoms of expression, religion, conscience, freedom of assembly, freedom of association, that's in section 2. Section 6, freedom of mobility, the right to travel anywhere in Canada or leave Canada. Section 6 deals with life, liberty, and the security of the person. And Section 15 with equality. Every Canadian is equal before the law. As we sit here today, those provisions are being violated by all the governments of Canada, but in particular, in my case right now, the federal government of Canada, and I'm about to launch a lawsuit against the federal government because of these mandates, especially their travel ban.
Hey! On behalf of the JCCF, which we're huge fans, jccf.ca, is taken on this case, and they've decided the best tactic is to tackle the travel mandate, because when they're arguing constitutional laws, one of the arguments is the spirit of the law.
And
freedom. So in an example of the United States, when they're doing this, it's really hard to argue the spirit of the law because everybody's dead. They don't know what their intentions really were, and that's how these legalese guys get around wordings. Mm-hmm. So it can easily end up with a different interpretation as to what that original law meant, and there's an argument behind there. Here we have a living member alive who has sued the Trudeau government. So he's going in and arguing that none of this has been constitutional. The spirit of the law, he will argue, because he is still alive, he knows what the spirit of the law was. When we went and drafted it this way, this is exactly what we meant and how it was to be applied.
The situation we have in Canada is that a former drafter of what is one of the most fundamental articles of our shared agreement as a people is now about to launch a legal claim against the government itself for violating the fundamental principles upon which the entire country is founded and assembled and agrees. That's not too blunt?
Blunt! No, that is very, very accurate. That's exactly what's happening. I'm the only First Minister left alive who was at that conference and helped draft these freedoms and these rights and the Constitution Act of 1982 itself. And I do this very reluctantly. I've been watching this thing now for almost 2 years. I've been speaking out about it at public meetings and on my blog and so on. And I've come to the conclusion now that I must, as a Canadian, and as one of the writers and founders of the Constitution Act of 1982, not only speak about it, I must act about it. I must show Canadians that I'm so concerned as a citizen and as a former First Minister that helped craft this Constitution Act 1982, that I must take action against my own government because they have violated rights that I and others helped craft in 1981, 1982.
First thing he's tackling is the travel ban because it's the heart of the Constitution. If we can't move, we have the right to be able to move between provinces. We have the right to be able to leave our country. We have a right to go to our parents' homes at Christmas time, at Easter time. We have a right to go to our friends' funerals, our friends and family members' funerals and weddings. They have absolutely no right.
And I'm not a religious
to take these things away from you. And this is exactly what happened.
You're not even allowed to go to attend church services on Sunday. And I'm not a religious man, okay? But they shouldn't be allowed to take those things away.
There's no other travel ban in the Western world like this one. And yet we're the second largest country in the world by geography. This impinges upon my right of travel, my right to travel to my family back east or my friends. It takes away my right as a Canadian to be protected by the mobility right of Section 6.
Okay,
and therefore, I feel that the federal government has overreached.
When they put in the Constitution that there was emergency procedures that can be applied that would temporarily supersede these rights, it was very specific about what those conditions would apply to. And they were in times of war, in times of extreme death, in times of extreme emergency, extreme peril.
What is happening is that there is a section in Charter of Rights and Freedoms which allows governments to override these freedoms in unusual circumstances. And I remember this very well when we were crafting the Constitution. These unusual circumstances, because we're putting it in the Constitution, it's not a federal act or a provincial act. It's in a Constitution which is supposed to enshrine permanent values and give glue to the country. Okay, so this Section 1 can only be used, and I remember this well, in times of peril, in times of war and insurrection, or when the state is in peril, when the existence of the state is in peril. This particular virus, for which there's a recovery of 99%, a fatality rate of less than 1%, does not constitute, in my view, a situation where the country is in peril. And therefore, I argue that Section 1 doesn't even apply, even though they're trying to make it apply and use that as the reason for doing what they're doing.
If you look at the statistics of the death rates from this disease, in his view, do not warrant. Remember, on this channel, we're not no medical or legal advice here. We're speaking on about Brian Peckford, and in his view, none of this constitutes extreme peril and should never have been applied.
It seems to me that this puts the courts in an awfully complicated position, to say the absolute least, because it's, and please correct me if I'm misstepping in any way here, it's up to the courts to determine the letter, but also the spirit of these fundamental laws.
He's 100% correct. So you see, very strategic case brought by the JCCF, Brian Peckford. You can find more details about Brian Peckford and the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom's lawsuit at jccf.ca. We urge everyone to support them and to absolutely watch the entire interview by Jordan B. Peterson with Brian Peckford titled Constitutional Crisis. You can find the links in the description below. Congratulations, truckers.
Congratulations to truckers and to the peaceful protesters.
Hey, we were out there the week before. It all started the week before. You can find that video on our YouTube channel.
Absolutely can.
Subscribe to our channel. We were there.
Ding that bell.
Yeah, ding that bell if you haven't got and like our videos, share them. We're out there. We're trying to get the word out there because the CBC's and the mainstream media is just failing. And these are important issues. This is the most important time in Canada in my existence,
in my lifetime. Yep.
Easily. If anybody hasn't been there, you need to go down there and experience this, because it's undeniable. When you go down, you feel the bonding, you feel Canadians healing themselves just by being able to greet and socialize with each other. It's completely healthy, and this is the healing process. Everybody needs to do a healthy debate, start to talk about these things.
Absolutely.
And get to and show the media lies. Show them how. There's other independent media, like our channels will show you some live video footage out there. There's so many independent media channels, YouTube channels out there. There's Viva Frei. There's so many other ones that are doing great.
Rebel News.
Tune in, see their live streams. It's nothing but a bunch of Canadians hugging themselves and happy to see each other and happy that they're out there. And so we're going to be there.
We're going to be
We're going to be there.
And until then, we say thank you. Until the next episode of
Blood. With Terry
and
Michael.